If you have ever lain awake at 3 a.m., replaying a conversation, going over and over it until you've convinced yourself that everyone hates you, this video is for you. Especially if you tried everything to challenge your thoughts, think more positively, or be kinder to yourself without lasting success. I'm going to show you what is actually driving those intrusive thoughts, why nothing you have tried so far has made them stop for good, and what you can do instead. You see, I spent most of my life being bullied by the voice in my head. It told me I wasn't smart enough, wasn't likable enough, wasn't worthy enough. I tried everything to silence it. Counseling, affirmations, self-help books, mindset courses, you name it. And here's what I eventually discovered. I would never be able to make my mind stop, because my mind was not the problem. It was something else entirely. So today I want to talk about these intrusive thoughts, the ones that arrive uninvited and speak with such authority that you have started to believe that they are telling the truth. And I'm going to share my top 10 of the most common ones I hear from my audience, from my students, from my clients, and, if I'm honest, from my own head. Because I want you to feel less alone with them. It's not just you. I'm also going to share something at the end of this video that completely changed the way I understand these thoughts, and that could change everything for you too. Are you ready? Let's start the countdown. At number 10, we have, I'm afraid of succeeding. And I know, this one sounds backwards. And yet I hear it more than you might think. Afraid of success? Outrageous, right? Isn't that what we all want? But here's what is really going on. Success means change. It means being seen and increased expectations. It means having further to fall. And so, somewhere beneath the conscious wanting, there is a thought quietly and persistently pulling you back, even as you move forward. So you self-sabotage, you procrastinate, you almost finish things. You get close and then quietly stop. Not because you don't want the thing, but because a part of you doesn't believe you are allowed to have it, doesn't believe you are capable of getting it, or is scared of what may happen if you do. At number 9, we have, they are just being polite. Someone gives you a compliment. Your work was brilliant. Your idea was exactly right. You look wonderful today. And within approximately 4 seconds, you have dismantled it entirely. They're just being kind. They don't really mean it. And here is what I find fascinating about this thought. You would never apply this level of scrutiny to a criticism. Criticism lands and sticks immediately. No interrogation required. A compliment, though, that goes straight to the dock. You have built kind of a one-way gate in your mind, and all the good evidence is stuck on the outside of it, while you drown in the negativity inside. At number 8, we have, this is just who I am. I'll never change. And this is perhaps the cruelest thought on this list. Because it doesn't feel like a thought, it feels like a fact. You have tried so hard, so many times, that the trying itself has become evidence. I must be unfixable. Other people change, not me. And I want to say something very clearly to anyone who recognizes this one. You are not unfixable. You have simply been working at the wrong level. And I will explain exactly what I mean by that before this video is over. Because the issue has never been your effort, never. At number 7, we have, I am the least impressive person in the room. And that means every room, every conversation, every gathering. Within seconds of arriving somewhere new, there is this rapid automatic assessment happening. Scanning, comparing, ranking, and landing almost always at the bottom. Not a fleeting moment of insecurity, an automatic, reflexive thought that fires before you have even had a chance to decide what you actually think. And over time, this thought makes the world smaller. You stop going to the rooms. You decline the invitations. You make yourself a smaller and smaller life. Not because you want to, but because the thought has made expanding feel too costly and too painful. Number 6 is, if they really knew me, they'd leave. And this is an imposter thought. It runs underneath even the most capable, successful, put-together exterior. You perform competence, control, togetherness, and all the while there is a voice saying, if they could see what is actually going on in here, this would be over. So you edit yourself. You keep a version of yourself in reserve. You are generous and present and engaged, but there's always a small part of you being very, very careful about how much you reveal. And there is always this little voice saying, oh, you shouldn't have said that much. And it is exhausting because you are living with one eye permanently on the exit, anticipating rejection any minute now at all times. Wow, we are halfway through already, and the next 5 intrusive thoughts are the ones I hear most often. They are the big ones. So at number 5 we have, what is wrong with me? This thought arrives after everything else has failed. You have read the books, you've tried the affirmations, you've sat in the therapy chair, and you still feel exactly the same. So the thought steps in to fill the gap. What is wrong with me? Why does this seem to work for everyone else and not for me? I hear this one constantly. And I understand it deeply because I asked myself the same question for years. But here's the kicker. While there is something wrong, it's not you. And I promise I'm going to explain that before this video ends. Continuing on with our top 10, we get to number 4. I should just stay quiet. Imagine this. You're in a meeting, a conversation, a group of people you want to connect with. And you have something to say, a good idea actually. And the thought steps in before you open your mouth. Don't. What if it sounds stupid? What if they think you're overstepping? What if someone asks a question and you can't answer it? So you stay quiet. Someone else says the same thing 10 minutes later and is praised for it. And you sit there and smile, and the thought quietly adds it to its growing list of evidence that you were right to stay small. Because who are you to ask for any more? On number 3, we have nobody really likes me. This one tends to arrive in social situations, often the ones that look perfectly fine from the outside. You are in a room with people who seem pleasant, and yet some part of you is scanning, assessing, looking for proof that you don't quite belong. Someone glances at their phone while you're talking. A message takes too long to be returned. A group laugh that you weren't quite part of. And the thought steps forward, see, they're just tolerating you. So you go home and you replay every exchange, looking for the moment you said the wrong thing, because you must have said the wrong thing. And the thought settles in for the night. Patient, thorough, relentless, ready to return whenever you find yourself in company. At number 2 we have, I am going to fail anyway. That's one I know very well myself. And this thought is particularly clever because it genuinely is trying to protect you. Because if you never try, you can never fail. And if you do try and expect to fail, the failure hurts less. So you procrastinate, you hold back, you almost start things and never quite finish them. You wait to feel ready, and ready never comes. Because the thought has convinced you that trying is simply a longer route to the humiliation that was always coming, inevitably. I have worked with people who are genuinely talented, smart, creative, deeply capable, who cannot bring themselves to begin. Not because they lack ability or motivation, but because this thought has been so very, very persuasive for so very, very long. Which takes us to number 1. I will never be good enough. And here it is, the one that sits underneath all the others. This is the quiet hum that never quite switches off. It is there when you wake up. It is there when you do something well, whispering that it won't last, that it was luck, that people will find out. And it is there when you make a mistake, shouting that this proves exactly what it always suspected. You have probably tried to argue with it, counted your achievements like ammunition, built up evidence against it, but the thought just waits, patient as ever, and comes back. This is number 1, not just because it is the most common thought I see in my clients and students, and my own past self, but because it is the source. Every other thought on this list is in some way a branch of this one. And that brings me to what I promised you at the start of this video. But first, let me ask you a question. How many of those 10 thoughts did you recognize? If the answer is several, maybe most of them, please know that you are not alone. And I want you to notice something else with me. These thoughts look completely different on the surface. Some are about relationships, some are about work, some are about your capabilities or your body or the future. They arrive in completely different situations and feel like completely different problems, which somehow makes you believe that you are completely broken on all levels. But the thing is that they are not different problems. They are the same problem wearing 10 cunning disguises. But here is what I spent years learning, first in my own life and then in the lives of every person I have worked with since. Every single one of these 10 intrusive thoughts is a symptom. Not a character flaw, not a personality trait, not proof that something is fundamentally broken in you. A symptom of one thing. Low self-worth. Every I'll fail anyway. Symptom of low self-worth. Every nobody likes me. I should stay quiet. If they really knew me, they'd leave. Symptoms. Every single one of them is your mind expressing in its own way a core belief that was placed there a very long time ago. The belief that your worth has to be earned. That who you are, just as you are, right now today, is not quite enough. That at your core, you are worthless. And here's the thing that changes everything. That belief is a lie. Not a small lie, the most significant lie most of us were ever told. By our experiences, by our childhoods, by the world that keeps moving the goalposts of worthiness further and further away until we can never reach them. Your worth, your true inherent worth, is not something you earn. It is not something you build or prove or accumulate through achievements or approval or years of self-improvement work. It is something you already are, completely, unconditionally. Every single day, regardless of what you do or don't do, regardless of who likes you or doesn't, regardless of whether you succeed or fail or stay quiet in a meeting. You are worth, personified. And I discovered this truth when my daughter was born. She was 3 weeks old, I think. She hadn't done a single thing the world calls valuable. She hadn't achieved anything, hadn't performed, hadn't earned anything at all. And when I looked at her, she was so obviously, undeniably, infinitely worthy. I looked at her and something just cracked open in me because I realized I was once like that. We all were. And we didn't lose that infinite, internal, unconditional worth. We just forgot all about it. And I call that worth amnesia. And these 10 intrusive thoughts, they are the sound of that forgetting. The good news is, and there is very good news, that what was forgotten can be remembered. Not through positive thinking, not through affirmations that your body doesn't believe yet, not through another book that addresses your mind while the deeper wound stays untouched. Through healing low self-worth at every level, mind, beliefs, emotions, past experiences, and the conditioning that started it all. This is the work. That is what actually moves the needle, and that is what I have spent over a decade or two helping people do. And if any part of this video resonated with you and you feel ready to kick those intrusive thoughts to the curb, I want to offer you a starting point. It is called the Healthy Self-Worth Starter Kit, and it's free. You will find the link in the description below. It will not fix everything overnight. And I will never promise you that. But it will show you that change is possible. That you are not unfixable. That you are good enough. And the worth you think you lost was never gone. Just forgotten. So download it and start today. Because I know that you are worth. Always. No exceptions. And if you want to know more about your true worth, what it really is and how to remember it, so intrusive thoughts leave now and never come back, watch this video next.